Good morning, everyone. My name is Jane. I'm the Head of Customer Success, and thank you for joining us today in this webinar. Just a few housekeeping rules. This is a listen-in mode only. So if you have any questions that you want to ask all throughout the session, please leave them in that little Q&A button, and we'll address those questions along each topic or at the end of the webinar. And just to make sure that everyone can hear me today, if you can just pop into the chat button and let me know if you are you a B2B or B2C business, or perhaps both. Please just type that while we're waiting for others to join and to make sure that you can hear me. If you have any troubles or, with any technologies hearing us, please type in there as well, and our team will be more than happy to help you. Right. So to get started, I would like to introduce you to our speakers today. So as I said earlier, I'm the Head of Customer Success here in ezyCollect, and some of you probably recognize me already. But today I'm joined by two other internal, very important team members of ezyCollect. Chris is our Head of Payments, who has 20 experience in the fintech space. Hey, Chris, are you there?
I certainly am. Hello, everybody.
How's it going, Chris?
Pretty good. Looking forward to today.
Excellent. And Ricardo Hori is our CTO, and he's probably eating data today, but he'll be joining us and giving us some really useful insights today. Hey, Ricardo, how are you doing?
Hey, Jane. Hey, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here.
Fantastic. Good to have you both here in this webinar. So just for our attendees, I would like to just walk you through what we are discussing into this webinar today. Since we have Chris here, who's obviously have really a wealth of experience about payments, so he'll go through about the future of payments as well as the future of payments within ezyCollect. After that, we'll tackle, 3 areas which you can unlock more value for your customers and your AR team. And of course, the main agenda is giving 5 strategies to you today for a superior payment experience. And finally, we want to connect all these dots and also give you a little sneak peek at the end of what's coming up in terms of product innovation in ezyCollect. So please make sure that you stay tuned till the end. All right. So just to get started now, essentially we're obviously talking a lot about payments today and B2B. I can see some of our attendees here are B2B and B2C, which is really exciting. So we want to look at the norm of the B2B payments today. So Chris, we're all talking about going digital. What can you say about this, and do you really agree that we are really moving towards digital?
Thanks, Jane. And once again, thanks for having the webinar today. I think it's going to be a good opportunity to have a bit of a chat about payments as a whole. To answer your question, yes, I do believe that we are moving towards digital payments as a whole. Like a lot of Aussie firms and firms around the world are moving towards a digital payment experience, and a lot of the reasons why they're moving towards that digital experience is digital payments is, one, a better experience overall for the end customer. They want to be able to have better fraud, better security, and there's a lot of different other payment innovations and payment options coming about with regards into the digital space. So there is definitely a shift towards digital payments.
Fantastic. Since you talked about, the innovation shift there, I know you want to discuss some of the new ones that are coming into this industry. So I just want to... Yes.
Yeah, so
what are these new exciting technologies?
Well, we've all heard about the buy now, pay later. There are a number of companies out there at the moment which have had a lot of success in this space, and there are a number of other different innovators, trying to disrupt and come out with different buy now, pay later methods as well. However, there is a shift towards the BNPL solution because of there's a number of factors, but essentially it allows for just those short, sharp, quick, 4 easy payments across a balance to be paid, as opposed to setting up, in some cases, a lot of different and long recurring based payments. and schedules. And at the same time too, it doesn't. There is a bit of a shift towards more of the BNPL solutions as opposed to credit card solutions these days. So there is a bit of a indication out there that there is a bit of a decline in the number of credit card payments versus the increase in across the buy now, pay later. So that is definitely something that we need to be looking at.
Interesting, because this BNPL is very, famous already for consumers today, and I'm sure a lot of people are actually going to utilize this with the Black Friday coming up. But this is becoming more prominent in the B2B space as well. Is that right, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. It is definitely a very an option that the consumers like to have out there because, like I said before, it allows for a nice, quick, and easy setup of the full schedule payments, quick approval, and it's like just a quick click checkout. So it's like choose your method, 4 equal payments, off you go, and you get the goods or the services, and then from that particular point, it's just nice, easy, managed 4 equal payments. So there is definitely a shift towards the BNPL in the B2B space. It's prominently in the B2C space at this point in time, but there is definitely that shift towards the in the B2B space.
Excellent. Now, what about these international cross-border payments? I know we have a lot of customers that are dealing outside of Australia and New Zealand today. So how does this going to affect them, or what should they be watching out for?
Yeah, over the years, and I've got a number of years experience in this space, and there's always been businesses like within Australia who's had their businesses business also enabled in the likes of New Zealand and United States and so forth. And it's one of the challenges that they've always had is always around accepting payments in another country and then settling them back into Australia because ultimately they needed to have that business established or registered within the country itself. So international and cross-border payments is now starting to become a lot more emphasis around how to overcome the challenges here because one, COVID has definitely had a big impact because it's moved a lot of business online. So they're not just selling domestically now, they're now selling internationally. So, and at the same time, traditionally, like I said on the outset, you would need to have a business registered in that country, like for example, in the United States, to accept those payments and settle in country. So with the travel restrictions, you can't necessarily get over there and do everything you need to do in those countries now to have that business established. So there is a lot more, emphasis around how do we solve this problem of accepting a payment in a currency and making sure it settles back into a currency or Aussie currency back into Australia, or a lot quicker enablement of these international payments. So we can thank COVID a lot for that. And sort of bringing the world a lot more closer when it comes to it for payments and the selling of goods and services. But ultimately, it's international payments is definitely something we need to be looking at a lot more.
Yeah, that's really exciting because I'm sure, with every business comes to the growth of looking towards outside their just normal clients within Australia. As you said, perhaps going way, further than, US, the UK, and so forth. So I guess this will be really, really helpful for those businesses.
Absolutely. Definitely will be helpful.
I'm curious to see what are these wallet-based solutions here that we have.
There's many wallet-based solutions out there these days now. And the benefits about wallet solutions is that we all know a wallet, we have our phones now, and that could be classed as a wallet. You've got all the digital cards stored on your phone in a wallet. But with wallet-based solutions, it does allow for portability. It allows for quicker top up of funds, quicker settlement of funds into wallet-based accounts as opposed to traditional bank transfer methods. So we are looking at all these different wallet solutions that will then allow for, quicker settlement, quicker funding, more visibility around, balances, it's just basically quicker enablement of payment. So there is a number of different solutions out there with wallets at the moment.
But all I can hear in these key terms that you've mentioned, Chris, are quick and fast settlement, right? This is really great. So now, how does this tie into the future of payments in ezyCollect?
Well, there's definitely a number of different solutions we're going to be looking at in the future payments with an ezyCollect, and I'm sure everybody's going to be excited about it because everybody wants to be able to get access to their funds a lot faster than what they currently are at the moment. They want to be able to do a transaction today and make sure that they're funded today. So we are working with a number of potential providers around providing these solutions. Not only are we looking for faster and quicker settlement, but we also want to make sure that it's very much a cost-effective solution as well, not just for the business itself, but also the B2B, the next business paying for the transaction or the consumer. But back onto instant settlement, like the wallet-based solutions can actually play an important part when it comes to getting instant settlement. But at the same time, they're utilizing, and looking at the third, the NPP open banking, the third logo there, utilizing that technology as well, especially around NPP. It'll allow for the payment to actually be accepted today for the goods or services and then settle today as well in same day using the NPP platform. So they are definitely technologies that we're looking at bringing into ezyCollect to ensure that the funds are flowing faster.
And that's really key in terms of cash flow, right? Because we already have a lot of clients who's extending credit. And if they can get paid on the day, the invoices are due and get the actual funds, this is win-win.
Absolutely. It's definitely going to be a win-win. And it solves a lot of problems in the whole payment life cycle, really, when it comes to being able to get quicker access to funds, as opposed to delay.
Fantastic.
The last thing you want to be held is traditional delay. Do a payment today and they're sitting back there waiting and waiting and waiting. When am I going to get my funds? And I'm sure we've all experienced that.
Yep. And can you just talk a little bit more about the least cost routing here, just to explain to our attendees the difference in this one, just the traditional ones?
Yeah, least cost routing, and that people might start to hear a lot more about least cost routing, especially more recently. Some of the banks are now starting to advertise least cost routing options and solutions, and it's specifically around terminals. But saying that, the least cost routing is where, because there are a lot of debit cards, MasterCard and Visa debit cards in circulation now, not just credit cards. Traditionally, if you actually take a card which has a Visa or a MasterCard logo on it and swipe it, insert it into a terminal and do the transaction, because it actually has that logo on it, and it's actually treated and charged as a credit card because it goes through what they refer to as credit card rails. So least cost routing now is starting to identify those debit cards and actually routing them through the least cost method of typically an FPOS rail, so to ensure that it's not processed with the high interchange fees that would normally be incurred for credit card payments. So it's starting to identify the card types. And from there, the benefits about having least cost routing within ezyCollect is that we're able to lower the fees and provide better cost solutions, better solutions that are more cost effective for businesses within ezyCollect. In addition to that, like I said before, it's mainly through terminals at this point in time, but with what we're doing in the e-commerce or in the e-commerce space where a lot of our transactions go through now, there are least cost routing opportunities for us, and we are working through those at the moment. Saying that too, with the terminals, like a lot of our businesses that are using ezyCollect these days do use and have terminal solutions. So we are close to partnering with somebody as well to be able to provide to work with a terminal provider who actually does have least cost routing already embedded in as part of their overall package. So I think everybody stay tuned for some more information about our new partner coming on board for terminals, and hopefully that'll also reduce a lot of their transaction costs as well.
That's really exciting, Chris. I think, we always try to look for the best, like you said, the fastest, but also cost effective for our customers here in ezyCollect. So we'd obviously be more discussing this with everyone once we have this in the platform. But just to summarize that, with all the trends that we're seeing here, we'd be really keen to just see, how many, and we'll be popping up a quick poll over here just to understand, how many of our attendees actually today have switched to adopting any of these digital payment solutions that we've discussed, whether it's just an online credit card, since COVID has happened, we'd be really keen. So if you see a little pop-up, just click, the buttons that are applicable to you. We'd be really keen to know. And so essentially, Chris, before and during COVID, what did you see as the changes and also as the research that we have here on the slide?
Yeah, absolutely. There's prior to COVID and then during COVID, with the shift and the move towards being, we're all working from home, and businesses have really been forced to do a lot more online trading. A lot of businesses even were established through COVID and coming up with an idea, and it's like how to get something out in the world, a new product or a service, something they could no longer get because they could normally walk down to the corner shop or go to the shopping centre to get. They're able to now provide for home, so therefore it pushed everything towards online. So there has definitely been an increase in the merchants now adopting, digital solutions for payments. But as the slide says here, there's it's increased by about 18% based off the McKinsey report, moving from 48% to 66% of those businesses are now adopting a digital solutions. And consumers themselves. Sorry, Jane.
No, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, and consumers are more open to utilising these digital payment methods these days as well. There's not a lot of people carry cash anymore. COVID had a bit of a, threw that one, out the window effectively, with a lot of people using cash. So everyone now is definitely moving towards a digital experience. Even credit cards, traditional credit cards are not necessarily being used as much. These days, consumers are looking for that quick click checkout. It's like, here's a checkout in front of me. I want to buy something. Click, click, done.
Yep, absolutely. And I think this will just only increase. If we're still in the COVID phase, obviously, it still hasn't. But as we live through it, I just think that everyone should be looking into adopting, and we'll see more changes in this one into the future.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for that, Chris. Now, just to tie that in, obviously, we want to look into how, we have to look at the approach in your accounts receivables. So I can see some of our guests here today are already using ezyCollect. So this is not going to come as a surprise for you, what we're going to discuss here. But for some, it's really just important to understand, what are the areas that you can give your customers an easy access and, more value today. And it all starts, with a credit application, when providing trade accounts. So really digitizing, moving, from a normal paper-based sending PDFs to just really automating that and be able to send a link and have your prospects or customers be able to input their information, within a few minutes. And with that, you also get some really valuable data when it comes to credit risks, not just looking at trade reference, but actual database on Credit Risk Bureau. So it starts with that. And then moving on to the invoicing part, obviously, if you are still sending your invoices, through your goods and your delivery, make sure that you also complement this with a digitized or an e-invoice, through email, SMS, and a portal that allows them to access all of these 24/7, essentially. And finally, when you are accepting payments, obviously, one of the things that could be a pain, from the AR team's perspective is actually applying these payments to each relevant invoices. So if you have a tool that will provide you to auto-allocate and reconcile these payments automatically, it will really save time for the AR team and make it really easy for your customers to see what else is open, what else is overdue, whereas everything that they have paid have been closed and allocated already. So this is really a good customer experience that you should be looking at each point. And to tie that, obviously, I would like to just go through the 5 strategies really into building a superior payment experience. So payment experience essentially starts with having a better process in your finance or AR team. So you would like to look at how you can help your existing teams today to automate some of those manual tasks. I did mention earlier, automating or digitizing credit applications, as well as having clear processes and supplement that with a workflow, not just sending reminders, but having a workflow that works with your current internal processes. right? Which then ties in to having moving your payments to when they receive the invoice. So as soon as you send the invoice, your customers have the ability to pay you there and then, whether having clear payment methods as well as online payment methods, which then ties into the next one, multiple payment options. We've all heard this from time to time that no one payment method is enough for a consumer or even a business today. They are looking at ways to extend their cash flow, whether that's looking at invoice financing or credit card payments. Make sure you have this, and even like an online bank transfer available with a click of a button. That's all available in Simply Paid and ezyCollect today. So if that's something that you're not utilizing yet, you want to make sure that it's very easy for your customers to access this, and we can help you with that. In saying that, as an AI person and the team, you want to make sure that there's still an open communication between you and the customers to ask for those invoices as well as any dispute management. They can just send you a quick chat button and, ask questions about invoices or certain orders. You want to make sure that there's open flow of communication. And finally, just to tie this all in, to close the loop is that you want to automate the payment allocation as well as reconciliation for this, so that it all falls through back to your ERP and everything is smooth sailing as you do another and send more invoices to them. Okay? Hopefully this is useful. Now, with saying all of this and all the technologies that you've heard from Chris, we want to actually connect the dots, and we want to talk about now what can you expect, moving forward in the ezyCollect space. And this is why we have Ricardo here joining us today to talk about and connect the dots on how and exciting innovations that we have in ezyCollect, when we think about this world and realm of payments. Ricardo, I know you're excited as I am, so I will hand it over to you.
Yeah, certainly, Jane. Thank you. Before we move on to, I'll talk a little bit about the smart contracts, which is what we are aiming to work in. I have to tell everyone that the payments is really close to our hearts, and we have very, very passionate conversations here in ezyCollect very often about it. And I think it's important to remember that all technology serves as a larger purpose, and for us here in ezyCollect, that purpose is to eliminate late payment. And then the question is how? How do we plan to accomplish that? And the solution we're working now is to automate the order to cash conversion, right? So I'll give you a brief explanation of the smart contracts project that we have, and a few touch points, and a little bit of our roadmap later on, and something that's coming from our development environment, just to give you the first thing, like in a B2B transaction or a trade, you generally have more complexities than. So your client was most likely in certain credit terms, so there was possibly a sales order is going to be issued and deposit, and then 30 days later you have to chase that invoice if the payment is not made. And through all that process, there are many records that need to be created within the ERP, and often that has to be done manually, and often the chasing also has a manual component to it. So what we're saying here is that we want to create a world where you have to do none of that. It's all automatic. And
none of that, Ricardo.
None of that. Imagine a world where your customer doesn't even need to log into a payment platform and put their credit card and pay. It just happens, automatic, right? And that's what we want to happen. And what the smart contract is, the foundation of it is based on the new technologies in payments and acquiring direct debit authorities. Using the direct debit authority to establish a contract, which has all the terms that you usually have when you trade with your customer, right? So let's say, for example, you normally issue a sales order, you collect 20% deposit before shipping, and their customer is in net 30 credit terms, and maybe they have an early payment discount or they have a late late payment fee. Right? So everything is put within that smart contract, and the system will collect those payments automatically based on the payment method that was provided through the authority. So let's say an example is like normal one is credit card on file, right? So let's say you have a credit card on file, it will charge the 20%. It will create all the records in your accounting system to let you know that deposit was made, it was associated to the sales order, so the shipped when the time is right. So let's say there is an early payment discount if they pay 5 days earlier. It will, at that point in time, also charge the remaining balance and create the records in the ERP, both for the early payment discount and for the payment that was actually collected, allocate it to the invoice, close it, and then once you get that funds in your bank statement, which again, as Chris discussed, ideally with instant settlement, we'll also reconcile that to the payment, and so you don't have to do anything anymore, right? The main work there is to really, go and get those relationships with customers so that you can have that authority and that agreement that this can happen this way. It's much faster for them. They can just email you or phone you or maybe use your e-commerce store and say, hey, just send this purchase through to us, and you just create a contract on your side. Or if it's from an e-commerce store, it can just be done automatically through our integration to the store, and then everything else happens. And we believe that is what's gonna give the most impact on your day sales outstanding, and drive you down to 0 days late or even below that. And of course, if something goes through the cracks, then ezyCollect triggers in and starts chasing the invoice as per normal, what we have today. So
excellent. That sounds like a real perfect world, Ricardo. I'm so excited for this.
Yeah, I think it's very exciting, and it's really about helping our clients to not have to worry about that and have more time back, have more efficient processes, and we all want to see you get paid for what you deserve. You worked so hard to put a product out. Let's get paid.
Fantastic. So is this coming out soon?
Well, we have a roadmap, right? So we'll start with like smaller changes and then work our way to that complete solution. So we'll be starting with if you can move to the slide where we
excellent. So we'll break it down into different stages and phases. Yep. Get the different roadmap.
Yeah. So the first one we did was, and this is already in a beta stage, is to allow the Simply Paid platform, which is today where the portal that we offer for our clients to provide to that payment, to put that in your website, right? So if you already have a website and your customers are already logging in there to make purchases, it just makes it available there. So there are more places where your customer can their invoices and perform a payment. And this could be also an entry point to collect a direct debit authority or engage into a smart contract in the future. We want to make it easy to have that available. And then with the power of direct debit authority is incredible. And what it does essentially is it gives you more control of when you get paid. Right, so the focus for the first few early versions is to focus on that and on giving you some control over when do you get paid. So Collect Now is the first feature, just leveraging that power of direct debit authority and allowing you to just go through ezyCollect. If you have an agreement with your customer, select your invoices, click Collect Now. We will process the payment. We'll send a receipt to the customer. We'll send a copy of the receipt to you. Write it back to your accounting system, and we will reconcile the payment. right? So it's the first step towards the journey, and the second step there is to do the same, but for sales orders, okay, within the same platform, all leading it to the beginning of that automation, so automating payments quite well. A very important step, and that's where we are saying that's the first version of smart contract. And the buy now pay later for B2B, the great thing and idea we have there is that we want to have the buy now pay later to work just like a card on file. So just imagine that your customer can sign up for a buy now pay later wallet, and it can just be saved with your account as like another credit card on file. And whenever they are engaging and with purchase, they can say, okay, no, just use my buy now pay later wallet there, and it will again process everything automatically. We'll collect the payment from, we'll trigger the payment to be sent to your bank test. Or the customer will be charging, let's say, 3 to 4 installments, and we'll also write back all the records into the. That's the buy now pay later.
Oh, some really exciting roadmap here. I'm really keen to, see the different phases as they get released. So I'm so excited. You talk about a lot about direct debits. Obviously, that's the power of the Collect Now and for invoices and sales order. We do have a question, Ricardo, that I thought it's probably worth addressing now. Is how are we going to help streamline the direct debit process in this case? So I guess getting that.
Yes.
Details, right, from the client.
Perfect. That's an awesome question. So there are many points throughout the life cycle of the in which you can attempt to collect that authority, and ezyCollect will be creating features to facilitate that communication and the acquisition of authority, both through creating a seamless experience where the customer doesn't need like let's say a big form and give a lot of their details out when it's still maintaining it secure. So we'll provide an interface through which the customer, and by introducing certain checkpoints where you can option or your option to provide or to request a direct debit. So some examples. So for example, in ezyCollect, if you use our credit application platform, there will be an option to request a direct debit authority at that point in time. So it's all digital throughout the filling of the form. They can just provide what is their preferred method of payment and provide the authority to engage into a direct debit at that point. Within the platform itself, there will be shortcuts for you to send communications with automatically generated links to that same form through ezyCollect. So if you're already a client of ezyCollect, you can just go through there, and there will be an email template which you can send in bulk to your customers. And also, of course, within the payments platform, Simply Paid, there will be a certain push for features to facilitate the customers themselves to provide, or you to put a message for them in there and saying, okay, sign up for a direct debit, and we'll facilitate different terms to help convert customers depending on your business and if it makes sense for you. So, for example, we could have a certain discount for a 0-day terms I've seen before, or perhaps a moving discount the earlier they pay. So, for example, it starts at 5% if you pay 0-day terms, and it will reduce every day until the due date of the invoice, which you get 0. But that's only applicable through a direct debit authority, right? And we can schedule the payment any day, and the customer can choose. They can say, okay, I want 15 days before. That's fine. It's a system. It will automate it for you. So there are a lot of incentives that can be, but we also need to find what works and what will work well for your business. And that's what we want to do, and we'll work together with each client to find the best solution to acquire those direct debit. Yeah.
That's really great to hear, Ricardo. Like, just to summarize what he said, obviously today in ezyCollect, we can already send a bulk communication to your customers, should they prefer to be on direct debit, and you can even request that for some selected customers that choose to do that. And, with our online credit application form, I'm guessing Ricardo just did a little sneak peek there again, that we will be able to add and incorporate the direct debit part in our credit application. So again, something to stay tuned for. And just to wrap up in the final one, so I'm guessing there's some little surprise here that you wanted to show in the Collect now, Ricardo?
Yeah, I'll voice over the video, but I just want to tell you, everyone, that this is a development environment still. This is in closed beta, so we have invited a few clients to participate. If you're interested, just get in touch, but we haven't opened that yet. But this is the first version of the Collect now. So the first thing to keep in mind is that we'll sync your direct debit authorities that you already have, let's say with your payment gateway, and then the option to collect now will be available. All you have to do is select the invoices that you want to collect. When you click collect now, it will give you a summary and confirm it, so you can confirm the transaction. Done. So the payment's already scheduled to be same day. It will send a receipt and a confirmation process, and it will also reconcile to your account system. And in case of any failures or any problems, things will be, the invoice will be reopened and chased. That's a very quick how it works, and it will become.
That's really, really good, Ricardo. I'd like to see this in my file today. If it's available. As Ricardo said, it is in closed beta, so it will be available obviously in the near future. But in saying that, just to wrap things up for all of these exciting things that we have here is if you're obviously interested to hear more about this product innovation, or if you're an existing ezyCollect customer and you want to be part of it, so send me an email or any of your customer success manager, and we'll actually send you a form after this with a copy of the recording, so to make sure that you are part of these innovations. And just to summarize, obviously, to ensure that you have a great payments experience today with your team and with your customers, let's digitize credit application, look at online payments, of course. That's what we're all about today, and ensure that you're utilizing the automated workflows that we have in ezyCollect. And if not, we'll invite you to try it out. So please contact us. There is one, I think, question here, demo available for automating credit applications. Matinder, we invite you to contact us so we can show you exactly how that works and give you a one-on-one demo on that. Obviously, the smart contract is not available yet. We will release this in different phases, and as it comes out, I'm sure we'll host another webinar for this to make sure that all of our existing clients, as well as anyone who's interested to be part of this, will obviously know what's coming up and what it is all about, as Ricardo has already mentioned. So I think that's it. I just want to make sure we wrap up on time. I hope everyone enjoyed this. If you have any other questions, please type them now in the Q&A. We'll stay here for a few minutes, but otherwise, we thank you everyone for joining us today, and hope you enjoyed all the topics that we've covered in today's payments experience. Again, I'd like to thank Chris, for sharing his wealth of knowledge on payments world. Really excited to see some of these innovations come into ezyCollect. Thank you so much, Chris. Any last few words?
No, it was great. Any questions at all, always happy to help and then get involved and answer them. So please feel free to reach out and have a chat.
Fantastic. And thank you so much, Ricardo, for giving us a quick sneak peek of what's coming up in ezyCollect. These are really exciting things. So I'm sure our clients and every attendee today are looking forward to see when these are all going to be released.
Yeah, no, it's like my pleasure. I love talking about that and enjoying the building. So All my pleasure.
All of these features looks like getting us to our mission of 0 days late, and hopefully all our clients will benefit into this and as we go through our mission. Once again, thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Goodbye.